A person I really admire recently told me that when you are reading a book or when you are watching a movie or consuming a piece of art, the best first thing that you can do is give that piece of art the benefit of the doubt. And they also told me that my shirt was on backwards. And they were right about both things. Hey beautiful people of the internet, my name is Ryan, and today's video is a book review of Haruki Murakami's novel, The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle. Also, it's coming in 3 parts: the basics about the book, my personal reaction to it, and that age-old question, should you allow your girlfriend to use your Netflix? Should you read the book? I'm gonna go make coffee while the intro music plays. Do you want me? Okay. I didn't hear any of that. Okay. Alrighty, disclaimer, as always, this video has no spoilers. First, the book basics. The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle was published actually as 3 separate books in Japan in 1994 and 95, and then after it had been translated to English in the United States as one big book in 1997. Psst, remember that time period for later. The book was written by Haruki Murakami, a name that you have probably heard before and that probably makes you think, ooh, surrealism and or magic realism. A Japanese writer that uses a lot of Western references and really long books. You're not wrong. Wind-Up Bird Chronicle is all of those things, including about 610 pages long. The basic plot is... Actually, that's a funny story. To write a plot summary, you have to zoom way out, right? You have to take 600 pages and zoom so far out that you can write the entire thing in about 60 words. For some books, that is easy, and then for some, it is not. For instance, the plot summary of a cheap detective novel might be something like, A always thought of B as a C, as someone D could trust, until it turned out that E's whole world was flipped upside down by F's sinister doings at G. Will H find I in time? That was an especially terrible example that I just came up with, but you'll notice that it has this kind of linear cause and effect, a funneling until you arrive at an answer. That diagram for the Wind-Up Bird Chronicle, which yes, is a kind of detective novel, would not be linear or direct or even really logical. And maybe the funniest thing about how we talk about this book is the plot summary section on its Wikipedia page. If you've already read the book because it contains spoilers, then you should go and read it because it is golden. It's like the Wikipedia people were like, crap, I have no idea how any of these sentences relate to each other because I don't know how any of the plot lines relate to each other. It's almost like you'd need 600 pages to write about it. But I will try and do my best. The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle is about a young man named Toru and his wife Kamiko, who has a politically powerful brother, and it's about their cat who goes missing. But then, and this is not a spoiler because 1, this is a detective novel, and 2, it's on the back of the book, Kamiko goes missing. The book is also about a weird abandoned house in their neighborhood, and a well, and the Japanese occupation of Manchuria, and a company that makes wigs. But yeah, at its center, it is a detective novel. Person goes missing, a chase ensues. Alrighty, second, my personal reactions to the book. This is the utterly vital part of the video where I tell you that I've read exactly 1 Murakami book before this one, and it wasn't a novel. I've read the short story collection After the Quake, which I adored, but I'm still a Murakami novel newbie. On the other hand, I really enjoy big novels, and the thing that I usually enjoy about them is that big novels usually have a big project. Not always, but they often do. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the time period. I really dig the late 90s and early 2000s. Wind-Up Bird Chronicle is 1994, Infinite Jest 1996, White Teeth 2001. And the fact of the matter is that this book is very consciously postmodern. Similar to those other books, actually, it's fragmenting the arc of the narrative, and instead of funneling the story in like a lot of more formulaic novels do, it is funneling the story out. It's expanding and getting larger. For example, while the central story of this book is a little hard to explain, especially for Wikipedia and myself apparently, I counted 6 or 7 different times that a character gets the opportunity to take over the page and then tell their story within the larger narrative. This big story is a vehicle for shorter stories, and sometimes that makes us uncomfortable. So my personal reaction was a roller coaster ride. I started off really uneasy, though I was enjoying myself, and then my uneasiness grew, although so did my enjoyment, and mostly I just kept wondering if I was missing something on the really large level while I was having fun from page to page. In fact, I talked to a friend, a Murakami lover, when I had 50 pages left, about how worried I was that Murakami wouldn't find a way to wrap all of these threads and clues together, which really, if you take a step back, tells you a lot about my expectations of a book, specifically of a detective novel. If I could wink, this is the time when I would be doing it. Okay, third, but should I read it? That person who I said that I really admired, who told me that the best first thing you can do for a book is to give it the benefit of the doubt, they had a second piece of advice for me. They said that the best last thing you can do for a book is to judge it sternly, to judge it as fairly as possible after you have given it the best chance to show you what it's trying to do. So I did that, and I think that this book is worth reading, and I think it's worth reading all of it. It still rewards you for paying attention, even as it keeps you on your toes and it keeps you guessing through 600 pages. The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle, as simply as I can put it, hopes to wrestle with your expectations of what a book's plot should do. And when we participate in that wrestling, when we ask ourselves why we expect what we expect from books, we get better as readers and thinkers. The real hang-up for me in answering this question about whether or not you should read it is that I don't know if you should read this book first. I know that there are some Murakami novels which supposedly you shouldn't read first, like Q-Teen-84, which is massive, for instance. And I've actually heard from a lot of booktubers and from Murakami fans that this is one of those books, that this is not an ideal introduction to Murakami in the novel form. So I'm kind of at an impasse. I really love the book, but I don't know whether or not to recommend it as your first Murakami novel. The only way I could do that would be if I had read more Murakami novels. Good transition, Ryan. So, I need your help. I've decided that I'm going to read Q-Teen-84 and possibly review it on this channel, but I'm not going to do that until I've read at least one more Murakami novel. So the comments are now your canvas. Paint me a picture, tell me which Murakami novel you think that I should read next, and why specifically. And that is all that I have for today. Thank you for watching, and also thanks for giving me the leeway of these last few days so that I could work really hard to make this video everything that I wanted it to be. Because you all were awesome, and I really appreciate that little bit of leeway, I'm actually going to see you here in 2 days with an extra book-related video. That's all I've got. I'll see you then. Best wishes! So, I'm gonna have to be honest with you. When I review books here on For the Love of Ryan, it might seem like I'm willing to review any book, but that just isn't true. There are some books that are never in consideration, and I know that sounds unfair, but hear me out. I know I was pretty hard on the covers of the Neapolitan novels here recently, but the cover of this edition of the Wind-Up Bird Chronicle is just wow. The design itself is gorgeous, but more importantly, it actually matches, this feeling actually matches what it's like to be inside such of a brainy, trippy novel like this one. 2 thumbs up.